Hey everyone, welcome to C Tribe monthly series. If you are new to C Tribe, a quick word on how we are, who we are. Like we are a network of innovators, builders, and operators dedicated in transforming the Indian built environment through using technology and innovation. Uh, each month, we invite a product leader, entrepreneurs, venture capitalists, and domain experts to share first-hand stories and insights, so you can learn what it really takes to build a context startup and move needle in the construction industry. This month, we have Miss Priyadarshini, who works as a product manager at Lumber. Welcome to C Drive Monthly Series, Priya. It's good
Thank
to
you so
have you.
much. Thank you so
Um,
much.
so, Priya, before we jump into, I know I have a lot of things to ask, learn, because I'm super excited, and I'm pretty sure most of our audience also are excited, and or they want to learn what's the journey looks like, because it's one of very few people who made it here, right? In intersection of construction and the product, it's very rare kind of expertise to have. So before we jump into and get into details, can you give a quick intro about yourself, your background, and what you do? What is the startup you're working? Hmm?
Well, hi everybody. Welcome to the monthly speaker series. I'm Priya, and I work as a product manager at Lumber, which is a Silicon Valley startup specializing in construction payroll and a complete set of associated products. So my journey to becoming a product manager is pretty unconventional. I started off as a civil engineer, working for Larsen and Toubro here in India, several infrastructure projects across the country, mostly transportation infrastructure, roads, railways, and elevated corridors. And after that, I did my master's at NIT Surat Kal. Again, went back to working with L&T. Finally, like in 2018, I moved to Australia, pursued a PhD in construction management. Again, looking at construction enterprises transforming digitally in Industry 4.0, and what is the success factors, what is the failure rates, etc. After about 6 years or more of research in Australia, I was looking for an opportunity to come back and work in the context space. And of course, C Tribe had a big role to play, which I'll elaborate on later. And I got to join Lumber as a product manager, and it's been a year and a half almost, and been so far so great.
Wow, that's a quite a journey. You went to a prestigious university in India, then you worked in the field where you experienced the first hand what are the pain points, and you went ahead and did a research and got a PhD. Again, you know, deep appreciation. There's only few PhDs in this domain. Then you transitioned into from R&D to the again the context space. But what inspired you to this whole transition? Like you could have gone to a post PhD. You can go to many ways, academics, or uh, go back to the industry in the owner side or general contractor side. But what inspired this transition into context space, especially in product management?
Yeah, I think as researchers, everybody or most researchers are always looking for converting their research into something tangible that people can use. And I wanted to do the same. And my drive for that was more than anything else. And I knew that only like a startup or a company building a product can provide me that platform to do it at scale. And like I mentioned, I started off my career at L&T, and I worked at a site, and I am the persona that we are building for. I know all of the mayhem, the chaos that happens on site, and that's why I understand the value that technology can bring in streamlining that chaos. So I mean, I've always had this innate desire to connect tech to business use cases. And I think it started off with my master's project, which was collaboration between L&T and NIT Surathkal. And I was at the Kannur International Airport project, which L&T was building. And I was tasked with building a rule-based information system. A risk information-based expert system is what I named it. So it was more of a very old backdated chat gpt, where you could put in construction risks and it would give you solutions which other sites have already implemented, and that could be a starting point for you. So that was my project, and that was the starting point. Then I got to work for Katera Bangalore, where I we were developing a construction project management software. My first experience of being on a product team and translating customer requirements and putting it in front of the engineers. So that was a short period with Katera, after which I went to Australia. And then the research was all about digital transformation in a completely separate continent altogether. And but over the years, I've always felt that I'm most energized when I work on translating those business use cases, those pain points into product features. And Lumber gave me the opportunity to do it at scale.
That's awesome. Priya, before we jump into the further questions, because I have a lot, can you give a kind of a timeline or the how years you worked on the field, then on the Katera, your duration, then PhD, just like for the benefit of users, viewers? Mm.
Yeah. So it was first 2 years at L&T on site. Then I got selected for the L&T Build India scholarship, which actually got me the master's at NIT Surathkal, 1 year there. And then the other year was on site at Kannur International Airport. Then I finished my master's, went back to L&T again, worked for a year and a half as for business development in the SAARC countries. After that, I left, moved to Bangalore, joined Katera, year and a half again. And then from there, I went to Australia, which is about 6 years almost, 5 years of PhD, a year of work after that with the Building 4.0 CRC. Then I got back to India. Lumber happened in 2024, and then a year and a half now, almost in Lumber.
That's nice. So you have experience on the ground, boots on the ground. Then also that's a diverse, right? I'm very like there's infrastructure. Then you also work in the aviation industry, airport kind of a thing. Then you went to BD. Again, whole SARC. That means like almost like a 7 countries kind of a thing. Then in between you did your masters, then a research, then another project startup. Um, how did the PhD shaped in your product philosophy? Because you work into other startups almost like a Katera before PhD and Lumber after the PhD. If you look back, what you done different because of the all the research you did and how it shaped you to be a better product manager? Mm, mm,
That's a great question. I would say that, the first point of every product feature is very deep research.
yeah.
And the quality of the feature and the edge cases you can cover depends on the extent of research you were able to do. It's definitely different kind of research than academic one, but it's still research. And I think that has developed over the years. I know how to hypothesize and then find evidences to back it up and prove that, okay, this is my assumption I'm going with. I have my backup, and if later on we need to iterate, we know why based on feedback. So this process of putting in an assumption, bringing your backup, and then moving ahead with an assumption and a decision, and then iterating, it's a process that a PhD student does over and over again during the course of the thesis. And the process is somewhat similar here, only very short frame of time, very strict deliverables. But I think the logical reasoning, analytical skills remain the same. And that's how it shaped me. Apart from the fact that, the domain knowledge obviously enhanced a lot. I talked to so many construction companies and personal in my years in Australia. It was a different continent altogether. Some problems remained the same, some were geographically specific. So overall, it definitely enhanced the domain knowledge also, and the process also sharpened a bit.
That's quite interesting insight. I mean, two takeaways for me is like, okay, product management is all about starting with hypothesis, creating a research and finding or expanding all the edge cases, and building a right futures for those hypotheses, solving the pain point and creating some value. um, so PhD research is a big takeaway. Two is like the domain expertise. um, just focusing a bit more, like what are some hard engineering civil skills like surprisingly you found adds a lot of weight to be a product manager in this domain, like what are something you picked up in the field that made you special compared to non-civil engineering product managers who building a lot of contact products across the world. Mm, mm,
A great question. Like I was saying before we began this conversation, I am the persona I am building for.
mm.
And that always brings in a lot of embedded empathy for the user. And I understand what kind of problems they will face, and what challenges are, what would make life easy, you know. And I know that in construction, my UI should be zero friction. A little more time taken to do an action, it in the product will be discarded. They'll not use it. So a lot of embedded empathy comes for the user, because I was working as a construction management professional in the planning, monitoring, and control systems. But at the same time, I'm also learning from our customers now and the network of partners we have. And I don't let those preconceived notions always rule the day. I know that I need to learn fast and iterate, pivot wherever necessary, even though I have this years of experience in this. At the end of the day, I don't want to keep doing the processes the way it was. I want to improve them with the product. So that is the first thing I understand, which makes me a little bit different from somebody who comes from a non construction management background as a product manager. The other thing I would say is I speak the same language as my customer. And so whenever I go into a customer call, the sensitivity of the meeting is very positive, because they understand me, and I understand them. Sometimes when a non-construction management background person goes into these calls, they would have to, okay, write down the requirements, come back to me and say that, okay, this is what they said, can we solve this? But if I go into the call, I will just directly tell them, okay, this is how we can do it. So the conversation is very I don't know, it's a complete conversation, both parties understand each other, and that gives me a lot of advantage as well. So I think these are the 2 points.
Can't agree more. Like, yeah, first is the user empathy, right? Oh, there are so many times I heard across my career, oh, it's just one more click. It's just like one more step. No, that one more click gonna make or break the product, right? So one, no one has a time or energy to spend, get trained and start optimizing your product. And two, your user is like at the end of the day, it's, they have so many other things, and this is going to be his lost least priority in the list of things to do on the day. So how we gonna shape the product to minimize the friction is the most important skill that often I saw a lot of product managers compromise for creating more beautiful, complex workflows. Um, you're spot on. In this industry, if you want to build something, you need to put yourself in the shoes of the user, and understand and empathize with them. And more interesting is that often I also see the product managers in their research, user research, they speak with the wrong persona, because often, oh, I'm going to talk with the product manager, superintendent, project manager, superintendent of a site. Yeah, that's cool. But honestly, product engineer is the one who is going to use the product. You know, PM matters because he's the one who is going to make a decision. But the user who is going to use it and who's user who is going to make a decision, different entities, and they don't understand unless understand the site dynamics. What's a product manager? What is a superintendent? What is a project engineer? You are spot on. I can't agree more. Second is that again, often I see a non-civil engineer product managers, when they talk with the customer, they just create a wish list. Okay, oh, this is the future you want. Oh, this is the value you're looking for, rather than understanding the root cause. I mean, often if you go deep, the root cause is very different from what they future they are looking for. It's a different thing that really solves the root cause, right? And it could only happen, you could only go root cause if they speak their language. That matters a lot. And I wish more people emphasis and more founders, more entrepreneurs who are watching this video, need to understand how much domain expertise matters in this industry. So we talked your strengths, right? Coming from a civil engineering background, working in a startup, PhD, and all how shaped you to be a better product manager. Let's talk about the gaps. You When you did your first job, AI is still not a big deal, right? Like back in a Katera, and obviously that's the first time you started shipping your products. What are the gaps you saw compared to then, someone with a computer science background or IT background on your while working in the Katera? And I also want to go and ask a follow-up question. Oh, after PhD and when you started working as a product manager number, what is gaps you saw in your skill set that you need to catch up? Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, that was definitely a worry before I joined, and I asked Manish, my co-founder, that look, I can't code. Is that going to be a problem? And he said that no, that's not your job. So I come to realize that product management is a whole spectrum, right? There are a lot of tech product managers who get involved in the the development of the engineering aspect of the product, but I can't do that, and that is my shortcoming. But my role is adjusted in a way at Lumber that that's not my job. So we've got very experienced dev leads that kind of are my compatriots, and they provide me with that backup. So that's a skill I am running short of. Um, I think that that's the only gap that is there. I would say, yeah, that's the only gap, and the fact that it's a whole spectrum, and um, a product manager has a lot to contribute beyond just writing requirements on Jira, right? So there
True.
are customer facing product managers, and my boss Oleg, right away identified that that's what I do better. Like I'll talk better than other product managers, so that's the role that I got pitched to. And the fact that the upstream contribution is a little more, so I'll have better understanding of, okay, can we upsell this piece of product to this existing customer, or will that bring in a little bit more revenue or a little bit more conversation around pricing. So I got stretched into the upstream part of it more than I still have to do my requirements and my dev handovers and everything, because it's a startup and one person is doing the entire spectrum. But then there are strengths and weaknesses of a product manager across the spectrum. And so my strength is in the upstream, and a little bit, weaker on the downstream, but I'm well balanced with dev leads.
Yeah, it definitely makes sense. I mean, honestly, at least in my career, all greatest product managers I saw don't know how to write a single line of code. I'm not saying that, oh, you don't, it's fine, you don't learn anything on the technical side. It may help you when you're having deep conversations with the engineering team, but it's not a limitation. At the end of the day, most important skill is like making sure that you understand the root causes, the pain points, and make sure that you build the right futures, right? The second thing you also highlighted is like, okay, can I upsell? Can I cross sell? How I widen my revenue streams, or how I can make sure that you know push the customer to see the more value so that we can renegotiate the pricing, right? So because there are times most of product managers or most of people from non civil background fail to understand is that there's a minimal saturation. There's a saturation point where even you build more features, you can't generate any more revenue. The only way you can do is like cross sell or upsell across the similar project or different things. So they don't understand. Oh, keep improving the product, keep it better, build more features. No, it doesn't matter. People, the user cares more about how to reach from point A to point B. That solves the solution. It doesn't matter whether you provided like a normal bus or a air conditioned bus or even the flying car. uh, the willingness to pay is same at the end of the day. It depends upon the value you create, or ROI in quick sense. um, so there are two sides, right? One, how you're working with the customers. Three sides. Two, you're working with the engineering team. Three, you're working the leadership. Then My question is like, how you convince the leadership? Okay, this is the pain point we need to solve. This is the right way to solve it, and how you show the ROI. If we solve it, you can, you can monetize it. There's a value. Mm.
So at this point, like towards a larger part of last year, we were still finding our product market fit. And that was through several conversations with our potential customers, whatever little existing customers we had then, which now has kind of stretched to more than 100. So, conversation with customers and commitments made to customers and what their requirement is, it always drives these decisions. So we are still not at a point where I'm just reinventing something and saying, oh, if I make this, this is going to generate revenue. This is my $1 million idea. That's not how it happens, also, is what I feel. The what will generate revenue always comes from the customer. And that's
Mhm.
how slowly we found our product market fit. Right. And we found a set of products which, okay, now we can sell. And if we have a base price, this will be an additional price over this, right? So it was all through iterative sales, customer conversations, etc., that we have reached this place. It's not just one person's eureka idea, is what I
Yeah.
have realized. I mean, even before doing this job, or from an outsider perspective, you will always think that, oh no, I have a brilliant idea and I can monetize it. But it's a very rigorous process, iterative process, which actually generates money, is what I have learned.
100% right. Whoever thinks like, oh, I know the best, this is the way to find the solution, going to fail spectacularly. Um, okay, let's jump into product more in us. L- so my first question is like, obviously we are doing a user research, and especially let's take an example of lumber, right? Um, within this industry, there is always like a should we prioritize the field crews requirements versus office based crews requirements, right? I think lumber is a where it's as much as uses the field, there is also some users from the office. So, and there are times they complement each other. There also time there's a conflicting each other. And I mean, obviously, at the end of the day, the role of the product manager is to how what I need to prioritize with considering I have limited resources and limited time. So you cannot satisfy everyone because you same time, because it is not the way that works, and you don't have unlimited money, time, and resources, right? So how this works, like prioritizing conflicting and complementing user requirements from within the same customer. Mm, mm,
Yeah. So I maybe answer this question in two steps. Firstly, I mean, as a philosophy, I am building the product for my construction worker.
mhm,
That has been the philosophy within Lumber, even though our direct buyer is the back office, is the company, right? But even Shrisha, he always says that we want to make the construction worker's life better. And I am really this has been an area of passion for me since long time. Even safety, which will come into lumber soon. So that is our core philosophy, that however we build, we want to make our construction workers life a little bit better. And even with ancillary products that we have now, like we have a completely standalone application, builder facts, which is just for the workers and credential management, right? So that is our core philosophy. But as a feature list, I would say the actions which the construction worker is doing on the app is very limited till now. I
mhm.
mean, I've almost built all the things that they can do. Not all. There'll still be other things they can do, but it's a limited set. Is it time tracking? Is it inputs from the field? So it's a small set. But as I progress, I'm seeing that the operations in the back office are huge and it'll only increase. There's a lot of feature sets to build for the admin as well, right? So, in terms of who's using up more capacity, I would definitely say the admin, the back office, because it's a more complex and robust application. The mobile application has lesser number of functions, but then another thing I need to always take care is that my mobile is my application is running smooth, because that's my data entry point. If that goes wrong, I'll never be able to correct anything on the back office, right? So both have their what you need to be attentive of in both cases. Capacity, maybe admin is using more, but mobile is like a little bit more sensitive to us, and we're always careful nobody is blocked from clocking in, or nobody's app crashes, etc. So our analytics is more on the mobile side as well. But as a core philosophy, the construction worker is at the center point of our thought.
That makes sense. I mean, to be honest, like if you're able to figure it out how to build, like minimizing the friction, empathizing with the construction worker, who is like I think the in the spectrum of everyone working this industry, least tech savvy and more kind of a resistor, then I think you can easily build for other users. So we talked about the conflicting or how to prioritize like within same company, right? Office based folks versus like admin versus a field crew. Then let's expand a little bit. Okay, you talk with or doing during user research, you talk with the 5 construction companies, and at some point you feel like you need to build a custom product for each one. Their workflows are different, their requirements are different. It's the same pain point, but everyone looks from different angles. On top of it, often they say that, oh, I need this integration because my sub part of my data is in that that product. Or the access control requirements are different sometimes. Oh, I don't want to provide access to these users. So how you navigate those challenges? You cannot end up building 100 products for 100 companies. You will become a service company at the end of the day. Mm.
That those are like the biggest challenges that we face day in day out. Number one is that it's very disconnected systems on site. So like when we have to sell or we have to go live with somebody, we have to position ourselves in a way that we integrate with their existing systems, and that is so hard. That's a different use case for every company. And I must say, I mean, we are navigating it as a challenge. We haven't found a silver bullet. We are trying to have end-to-end workflows designed, so when we go into a customer conversation, we have our set of products, we have a set of offerings, and then we listen to what their requirement is and try to chalk out a flow. Okay, from where the what is the source of truth, information will and entities will flow from where to where, and we try to chalk out a flow for that customer specific, and then use those blocks of of features we have to build it end to end for them or provide it end to end. But this is a time consuming iterative process as well, and we are running into a lot of challenges doing this. The second one is everybody wants the software to reflect their workflow on site, and everybody has a slightly different workflow. So I try to bring in a generalization, make the product configurable to a great extent, but on the hindsight, if it's too complex because of the configurations, they will not use it anymore.
True.
So it's a very delicate balance between customization and configurability and the complexity that brings. And again, no silver bullet answer. We are taking it specific case by case, and trying to learn how to do this seamlessly. But I don't think there's going to be a day it's going to be seamless. It's a learning process, and I think onboarding aids, a lot of hand holding, implementation as a service is also something that we are trying to build in, so that this is possible to be done, because it's not a product that somebody will buy and start clicking and using from tomorrow. We are not at that stage. I don't think the industry is at that stage either. So that's how we are navigating at this point. And I feel like one of the thing is that if you can earn the trust of the user by showing that it is helping reduce a pain, that helps a little bit to say that, okay, I'm proposing this solution, it's not 100% customized as your workflow, but why don't you try what we are proposing? This is going to solve your problem. Sometimes we propose that, okay, you have these disjointed systems, ours is end to end, do you think using ours would be rather better? Even the change management will be one time. So we are taking different paths for different people.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, yeah, I don't think there will be silverware, but if you found anything, do let me know. I would happy to know. Um, Everyone pulls in different directions, and at the end of the day, there's no one fit solution. That's the I think instead of saying that there's a kind of a barrier, that's the beauty of this industry, right? It's so fascinating, like how complex and complex is this industry. Like for a product manager or people in anyone in startups, like this is a huge challenge to build something great. So that's a fun ride. So we talked a bit about the trade-offs um, on the workflows around, right? The part of your job is also like creating a UI UX, better user experience and user interface. Um, how you see those things? I think for me in person, even you have average workflow, if you put a great UI UX, I think it works well. Um, eh, how they feel, how they experience the product matters a lot in every industry. I think more in this industry. But often I see this like, okay, they want their legacy systems experience somehow to felt in the new product. Oh, I want this product with AI, but it should exactly look like the how I use in my old product. They want that familiarity to certain extent. Have you Can you give us an example, like, where uh, you have to create a user experience, but you also have this kind of a button of doing something that doesn't make sense, and how you navigate those challenges?
Yeah, definitely. UX has been a challenge because sometimes, whichever way I try to navigate and provide something, I feel like the user is still confused and not understanding it because it doesn't match their existing experience. It's not a manual paper time card, so it's not matching their existing. So some of the things that we are adopting is terminology similar to their existing processes sometimes help them. The change management is a little bit less. And then, you know how UI should be intuitive, and then we shouldn't have much of a help text, and it should be understandable to the user. These are all very design standards of which is considered a good design. Sometimes it doesn't work in the construction industry. I'm always in favor of showing big and bold icons that this is the action you will be taking, giving clear alerts, messages, enabling the workflow, not being gatekeepers. So all of this we are using to navigate, but then Lumber is a very design oriented product company, I must say. So the experience of on the mobile device, also the one that we're providing, is very seamless and smooth. So we want to keep that experience, but also not make that a blocker for people to use it. And I feel like most of the confusion and all of this happens on the admin part. The mobile field application has stabilized a bit, I would
Mhm.
say that, right? So admin has so much functionality and complexity, it gets confusing. So I mean, even though we started with the fact that it has to be very sleek design, great to look at, aesthetically pleasing, but we are learning that no, we have to give the information to the user. Even if it's not intuitive, we will give textual information. We'll provide it in their own language. We have Spanish as well, alerts, notifications. We've started respecting these requirements that come with the user as well, and modifying our designs. We haven't reached a point of stability yet, but that's how we are trying.
I think you will never reach. UI UX is a continuous evolution, right? So
Yeah.
there is always room for improvement. I mean, I just want to take a moment in between, like, I know Sirish in person. I met him. I just want to give a shout out and kudos. He's amazing person. Like, he always obsessed with creating a product that that makes lives easy. Having that kind of empathy at the core really matters as a founder. Um, the other thing, I just want to go back to we spoke about your workflows, user experience, how you navigate with the your engineering team, how you navigate with the customers. But you also mentioned something which often overseen, like, yeah, I also need to work with the implementation people. There's also that part, right? Often, here is the thing. I think maybe it's my hypothesis. no matter how great you build a product, there is always going to be a gap. Okay, that's where the CS should elevate the experience, customer experience, and make it like, okay, still there is a retention and happy product at the end of the day. So how you identify those gaps in the product, how you communicate with the customer success team and or implementation team, so that you all work in a sync to give a great customer experience. Mm.
Yeah, so that is one of my, there has been one of my main jobs over the last few months, because so many customers going live, at least 7 to 15 each month. And customer success is, they have to be equipped to know, and the pace at which we are building is also very high. So every week there are new releases, and so this is a challenge, and that's why I'm working very closely with the customer success team. So one of the ways was developing guides, onboarding guides, material content, a certification process for them so that they can go through this and know how the product works. But all of this has like what, 60-70% of success rate. You still need to be involved. So right now product team is very much like involved in the implementation process, I would say, because we are at that stage. Our go lives are very important right now, but I think we'll mature at a stage when the customer success team will also mature, they will grow, and they will have we'll have better knowledge management as well, knowledge transfer as well. And every new customer success rep, they will come in, they'll go through a training process, they will the product would have stabilized as well. So those are all futuristic scenarios which we have not reached yet today. So right now it's day in day out, a lot of calling with them, a lot of going into customer calls, sometimes going into sales calls as well, because whatever you are proposing, I mean, we should be aware that there's something we have to build, or maybe we can answer better in a sales call. Sometimes they pull us in also. So, like I said, like it's not a very defined role right now. We are going into different teams and having to contribute because that's the stage we are in.
Yeah, I think that's the way it should be. There's a natural way of working in a startup. You need to be fluid. You need to jump any direction, and especially it's very important for product manager. I think most of times we don't realize, maybe you do a user research, you do come with hypotheses, create a certain values, futures, PRDs, but when customers started testing the product, maybe your hypothesis is wrong, maybe you didn't build in a right way, and you want, it's not one direction, right? You want to transfer the knowledge to the customer success team has a critical role to play. They're going to collect the feedback from the customers who are testing the product and need to pass to the product team. I mean, it's brilliant that in your case you are being directly interfacing on the CS side and part of the CS time. um how often you realize that, okay, the, maybe I what we built doesn't make sense, because now the real people are testing it, not your QA guy, and you need to go back to the drawing board and tweak the product. Mm.
Yeah, that happens pretty often, because, and sometimes I'm surprised that this also can be a problem that a user will run into. I mean, I have used a product, I know the workflow, but when somebody else completely a stranger to the product tries it, issues can come out which I've never imagined. And they come in as tickets to us, right? So it happens often, but and that's like, so it's quick wins which we can pivot and then deliver and improve our product. So this process is very I mean useful for me also. When I get feedback, okay, this is not working the way they want it, I do my quick win and I deliver, and that's a way of improving and stabilizing the product. But what I want to avoid is, if I've built something big, a big module or something, it shouldn't go absolutely in the wrong direction. That has not happened yet, or it'll be a lot of rework if that happens. But again, there is possibility that in the future we'll be iterative and maybe we'll pivot in a totally different direction. That is also very difficult to guarantee to the engineering team, that okay, I'm taking the ownership today, but tomorrow there's going to be no change. That is also very difficult to commit. But thankfully, very big module level changes or completely going in the wrong direction has not happened yet, but usability experience, every day, every day in day out, we are receiving feedback and improving.
True, I agree. I mean, no matter how many QA you did internally, how many edge cases you found, um, I think we need to give kudos to the user. They always find something new. um,
Yeah.
and at the end of the day, I know there's a lot of times, okay, you go to engine team, hey, the user found something, maybe we need to tweak it. Oh no, we spend so many hours, we spend so much energy and time. It's good because maybe they are too obsessed with what they built. The obsession is good in that healthy way, but at the end of the day, evolution, iterating, product is a living thing. It's keep evolving. It's not like a static piece, otherwise it'll get obsolete. um, and most important is that product managers need to think like, okay, we are not building a product, we are building a startup, and product is piece of puzzle to build a
Yeah.
right startup. Um, so now I'm gonna bring everything together, right? We talked on the, I think every request, everything will fall under one of four buckets, right? You have a new customers, everything, which I would like a sales specific request, like maybe I want to buy your product, I love your product, but I want this XYZ, which doesn't exist in your product, like, or your leadership would say that, okay, we will need to go and sell this product in this company, but I think there's a this existing gap. So the new customers or sales request is one bucket. You ship the product, user tested it, existing customers, no, we didn't like it, you need to do something. The second bucket is the existing customers request. um,
Mhm.
Third is would be, I would say, like a your own vision and your competitors, right? You are not building the product in the vacuum. There's always kind of a catch up game between competing forces, right? Okay, they have shipped a new product, future, oh, you are lagging to catch up. So that would be a third bucket. Then fourth bucket would be technical debt, which often doesn't people doesn't understand it, because it's at some point you build too much on a weak foundation, it's gonna crash. Especially when you put a AI agents, doesn't work like that. So you product managers is like looking overwhelming in these four buckets, and you have 10 engineers and maybe some 80 hours of engineering hours, like a one or two sprints. Like how you navigate this such a complex scenario. So how you decide to make, okay, this is the one I want to go in this sprint, this can be hold off. What is it like a prioritization look like? Mm.
I think one of the frameworks we use is effort versus value. So we would evaluate if there is a quick win, like the effort is less, but the impact it will have is a lot more. They always go on top of the sprint list. Um, and then there's another bit of like must haves, should haves, could haves, will not have. We do some sort of a juggling between these as well, and prioritize. But it's not a very strict follow up of these frameworks. I rather have my own. And also, this is evolving based on the stage the company is in. Like 1 year back or 5 months back, it was different. Today, it's different, right? We have go lives and we have customer issues coming in every night. And so, my sprint is usually a good 30% capacity reserved to solve those customer issues coming in every day. I will reserve around 40% for quick win items, which I have identified through my effort versus value matrix. And the rest of the 30% is my new feature, which I know will not finish in the sprint, will take a couple of sprints, but I have to do this new module. So right now, it's a spread like that of prioritization. 5 months down the line, maybe things will change and evolve. I'm not sure based on the requirements we have at that point, but this is how it is right now.
I think that completely makes sense. I mean, reserve 30% of the engineering hours for the any existing customers, and obviously you want to go for low hanging fruits first. That's the way built a startup. You cannot aim for the sky and keep uh, throwing money at that, while you end up like a negative cash flow. And at at the end of the day, there is a one single purpose of the startup, not to die today, so that you can fight tomorrow. And that only happens you focus on immediate impact, full futures and items. So this all brings us to one of the most important question. I think maybe it's a kind of a culture in India or something, or also maybe I will also put a gender perspective also. How do you say no? No to customer, no, it doesn't make sense. No to leadership, no, this is where we need to focus, or push backing on engineering teams. Saying, how do you navigate this no, which it may sound very small thing, two alphabets, but it's very tough thing to do for the role or for any person in general, especially when we raise in a culture where we say yes and obey the hierarchy. How you push back, especially someone who pays money, that runs your company and all those things. Even investors, they come with this fancy ideas. Oh, you guys do this thing, I will give $10 million funding. Mm,
That I have been eternally very weak in saying no, but it's a skill set to learn, and I'm working on it. At this point, I can confidently say no when I have a lot of backup research, logic, reasoning behind me. That no, this is a no because I know I can prove it to you. I can convince you. So only at these situations I'm able to say no. Other situations where it's like a more of a tactfully managing, I'm still not very good at saying no, and I would be sometimes overwhelmed with all that I've taken. But now I have realized that it's much better to give a reasonable practical deadline, a due date, so that the communication goes back to the customer accordingly, rather than saying that I will be able to do everything. So I can say that this is my sprint. Now that we've become much more organized in our planning, I can say that no, I will not be able to deliver this at this time because I have my calculation. This is going to take this much time and effort, sizing my features, etc. So this has contributed to me being able to be more confidently saying no, this is not possible in this date, only after this. Right. So I have learned from experience. And the other aspect is when I know, I have logically reasoned it out that this is a no. So this is how I'm doing it, but maybe there is a lot of scope for improvement in
yeah,
this.
I mean, there's always, but I think those are the brilliant two things, right? Saying no is not the tough part. How to back up your no with the data is most important, right? You can always go prepared and say no. I think people will accept it. It's fine. Or the things putting unrealistic expectations. Hey, it doesn't make sense. Let's do it something different. So we're almost like it reaching the end of the session. I mean, honestly, I could drag it for 5 more hours. It's always, I mean, you have so much wealth of knowledge I could learn, and I learned a lot today. So, but I just want to open to the audience questions. Let's start with the first question, like from Chaitanya. How do you connect with the potential users in construction industry to gain insights on future before it built, and how different from other industries? I think it makes sense, especially because just because you work past in construction industry doesn't translate things as same today, right? You keep talking with those skins. So can you expand on this? Hmm?
I think we have a very good, thanks to Trisha and our founding team, we have a very good partnership network, and that comes in handy. So, a lot of, I mean, not lot, a few of our very initial customers have kind of become like our partners in improving the product, right? So, we get a lot of information from talking to them, conversing with them. So, that is like my source of user research, apart from the fact that some of them are my own experiences from my career as well. So that's what I am using today. And of course research, everything, very deep research on perplexity, and even I go into sometime into my papers and publications, etc. So all of that constitutes my research. But I know that my team back in the US, like Oleg, who's my head of product, he would be having even more conversations with potential customers, and he passes on a lot of a wealth of knowledge to me as well. So we are very connected as a product team, and whenever there's a new thing that he discovers, he passes on to me as well. So these are basically points of gathering information for user research.
That makes
And
sense.
different from other industries, I would say, I mean, no shiny value proposition actually works in construction industry. It's not retail, it's not hospitality. You just have to, and everybody knows that. And we also recommend that only digitize what hurts you most first,
Yeah.
right? So it's an understanding between our customers and us as well. So that's how it's different from other industries, I would say.
That's nice. I think that would be the quote of the day, for everyone who only decides what hurts you most. Cool. Let's go to the second question. I think I'm gonna bucket these two questions together. Like, how is AI impacting your work, or how it is helping you to be in the journey of being a product manager at Lumber, like in your own role, and maybe also briefly talking about how AI is redefining this industry. Hmm, hmm.
Yeah, I think there's huge scope of it, and we wanna make lumber as a lumber buddy for our construction worker, which will be available at the beck and call of the worker to enable them, to help them, assist them, train them. So, and all of this is possible through AI, agentic AI, right? So the first thing we are working on is prompts, alerts. We know that we don't have to be gatekeepers to the admin who's doing all the payroll process, but we need to alert them. Oh, hey, this is missing. Hey, this setup is not complete. This is going to run into trouble. So understanding gaps and mistakes in the workflow, identifying them, and preemptively alerting the user is something that we are using AI in. It's useful for customer success and customers to find out what the product can do, right? So we have a huge database of information, and then we can use AI to fish out, okay, tell me how I can use lumber for this workflow, and it will give you a solution or a workflow, right? So that could be a chatbot, etc. And the other thing is, there's facial recognition. There's sometimes some features we are building, and I don't want to expose that right now, but it's like the change management is huge on site, and a lot of companies are very hesitant to change management. So to reduce change management and enhance adoption, AI can come into the picture, and we're building something around that as well to keep the user's current experience as similar as possible, even with lumber coming in, right? And sometimes AI is helping in that also. So these are the use cases. Again, I just don't want to say that AI is going to change everything, but there are specific use cases where it is going to become very beneficial, and we are taking one step at a time towards them.
Cool. Thank you so much. I think it definitely the way I see the things. So the last question is like from KS Selvan, like, what are some best practices for SMEs or subject matter experts? I think how to translate the customer requirements into engineering requirements. I think no other skill set matters more than this thing. Um, your engineer doesn't have any clue what is a timesheet, maybe what is a submittal or anything. Um, how do you do that? Like, translating the most complex customer requirements or user requirements into very simple engineering requirements so that you make sure that you build the right way. Mm,
Yeah, I think I put a lot of, not lot, the correct amount of information on the story. And I always put a context as to why we are building it rather than what we are building. So they have some context before starting work on that. I do very, I mean, since I'm here, it's not a remote. We are a contact team. So the design and product team will do a dev handover to the engineering team. And in that, a lot of questions will be asked, a lot of edge cases will be identified, and we'll tweak. And then before the sprint begins, we'll be ready. We'll be not always 100%, but we will have covered a lot of our bases, right? And I must say, I have learned this from my dev lead, from my engineering team, how to identify these cases even before the impact areas, even before they can question me. So right now, 90% of things I can cover, 10% still they raise, right? So it's a collaborative effort right now, I would say. And because For me, my role is that I am very close to the dev team. It's not like I'm writing requirements in the US and my dev team is building here. So that has helped bridge a lot of gaps between product and engineering. And that was perhaps one of the reasons they hired me as well. So that's how we've been doing so far.
100%. That's the way it should be. Collaboration and open communication matters a lot. People, we all on the same side, so it's not you versus me. That kind of a culture really matters a lot. I think that's why Lumber shines. It has a right culture in place. We're almost wrapping up, so I want to reserve the last 5 minutes for a couple of things, right? Advising to the aspiring product managers. There are a lot of civil engineering folks. I'm pretty sure there are a lot of folks like that, students or some other professionals, early career professional, knocked your door or messaged you in LinkedIn. Like, how do you get those kind of a roles? Like, what is some advice you give to land those kind of a jobs? And the follow-up question would be, if there are three skills that really helps to elevate them to open doors for product management for any as a aspiring civil engineer or architect, what are those skills you ask them to learn so that they be successful in the product manager roles?
Yeah, I mean, I'd answer this. I mean, and this is right. I got a job at Lumber because I was a part of the C Tribe community. And it is in the C Tribe group that Srisha actually spotted me. Somebody really generous here shared my resume in the group. So being connected gets you, the right place. I mean, I always had this keen desire to work in the context space, and I mean, I think you found me on LinkedIn, and this connection happened, and then Lumber happened. So this is not planned. This is just because I am. LinkedIn, I would always advise, is a great place to be connected to your community and network. So, in spite of just having qualifications or having work experience or your skill sets, being connected to the community really matters, I would say. Um, and the three skills, number one, I would say, like processing, the ability to process something and processing information and getting key takeaways from that. That's really important as a skill set. I feel like, I mean, the first thing you have to do when you're listening to a customer is process their information, bring it into your context, take three takeaways so that you can translate those to your engineering team. So this, the capacity to process is really important. Communication, again, 100% important a skill set. It might sound like a cliche, but it is one of the most important skill sets, I would say, of a product manager. And again, understanding where your skill set lies is also something very important. So, understanding what you do best, you will do it. What you don't do best, you can delegate it. So, having that capacity to do what you do best and delegate what you don't, so that the outcome still remains the best, is another skill set I would say is really important.
That's brilliant. Uh, to summarize, one, networking matters. Honestly, networking matters in every industry. I think most of times, I see a lot of young professional doesn't focus much energy here, but networking matters a lot because sometimes they open the doors for you. Sometimes you learn something, or you may even get your aha moment. Oh, this is the way to do the things, right?
Yeah.
Two, obviously, communication and collaboration, which is more a soft skill. Three, I mean, that's very interesting, right? Active listener. We all love to speak, but we often doesn't give same energy and time to listen and understand and digest information and see some trends, right? Nothing matters because I think being a product manager to a certain extent, maybe being a psychologist, you have people coming up, showing up at door with list of complaints, all the pain points, and you need to way to find a solutions for them. So active listening matters a lot. Um, yes, those are, I think you're spot on. Those are the three skills that required. Maybe people often think, oh, I need to learn the C language, Java, Python, but soft skills matters a lot for this kind of roles. Um, So we are almost on that time. So I would like to wrap up at this point. Thank you, Priya, for sharing your journey from civil engineering into contact product leadership, for all the practical insights on how you make a career, what are the situations you went through, and how you navigated those scenarios. I'm pretty sure to our audience, this is going to help a lot, and there's a lot of things they'll took away, including me. I learned a lot today, so this is a very fruitful session. Thanks all the audience, being here, asking the questions, listening patiently for last 1 hour. We appreciate. And if you want to connect with the link, I mean, I'm pretty sure most of folks already connected you on LinkedIn. So, but Priya, we're gonna put your LinkedIn link in the YouTube when we post this video, so that if someone want to reach out to you, they can reach out to you. Yeah, that's a wrap. Until then, we let's. I hope I see you all in the next monthly series. And until then, happy building, and see you in the next session. Thank you so much. Mm,
Thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you so much. It was a
awesome.
great session. I enjoyed it. It was really a fireside chat.
It is. And I can't find a better speaker for the series. So we always like have a kind of, I think you're the one of the youngest one who we ever invited. That matters a lot because that resonates with, oh, she can able to do it. I can relate with her. She's my inspiration. Let me try to do those things. Thank you so much, Priya. Have a good day.
Thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye.